Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mupo and Friends. Our special guest today is a multi talented powerhouse in the entertainment industry. She's an actress who's done theater, soaps, television, film. She currently resides in Australia, where she is a songwriter and a recording artist. She's an absolute beauty and icon, especially in the science fiction world. She is best known for her role, as you will remember, as the evil reptilian on NBC series V. Please welcome Jane Badler. Hello, Jane.
Hi,
That was
Jane.
lovely. Love that introduction. Thank you.
Oh,
I
she's
love
great
the
at that. She's
powerhouse.
great. She is great at that.
You are.
But we
You have.
we are blessed to have you. We really
Thank
are.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
We're thrilled. We've been so excited. We've been waiting. We were like, yes.
I know. I know. Chad Darnell's gonna freak when he sees this. He loves you. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Well,
Absolutely.
because of Chad, I realized that I could do comedy because that was actually the first truly, I think one of the first comedic roles I did, and I just nailed it. I did. If I do say so myself, I nailed that role. And that was, I went, whoa, girl, you should be doing comedy, after that role.
you're amazing. Well, first off, we wanted to say that we're sorry to hear about your son Harry Haynes passing. Um, at the age of 27. Um, I don't even know what to say at this point, but other than what struggles did you go through as a mother trying to help Harry with his addiction and illness? If you could describe
Yeah,
that.
look, I think what I realized, yeah, I think that I realized there's no, one right way. There's no one right way to to really help those with drug addiction or any kind of deep addictions. I mean, I think we did everything we possibly could to save him. That was the main thing on my mind for 7 years, is how do I save my son, because he was a very fearless user, and he just kind of didn't have very strong boundaries, and he definitely didn't play it safe. So we were constantly afraid of that happening to him. But he was also an extraordinary human being. He was gifted in so many ways, and besides his incredible beauty, he had such talent and such vision, which often comes hand in hand with demons. So it's hard to tell people that have children that struggle with addiction what the right way is to handle it. But certainly, I'm happy that in his lifetime, I did everything I possibly could to help him, to know that he was loved. We didn't abandon him, and I'm kind of glad about that. I'm glad that we didn't. And yeah, it's just so sad. It's so sad that I think it's just the worst thing I think it's, people say, oh, maybe it's worse to get cancer or leukemia, but to watch your child kind of lose themselves in this demon, the demon of drugs, where they're not really the child that you remember. And it's like a living death.
I'm
And
sure.
that's really, yeah.
I want to reach out and give you a big hug. You're a beautiful being and mother, and you have been tremendous at how you have handled things. I know that this is a very difficult subject for you. So, with all due respect, I just want to ask how do you what advice would you give to parents that are going through something like you went through? What would you say to them now that you know what this suffering is like and how something maybe that could help them in
I
their.
first of all want to so much destigmatize, drug addiction and mental illness,
Mm.
because that is such a horrible thing that there's shame around it.
Yeah.
That people are not open about it, that people don't feel that they can discuss it, and which is really so hard for parents when they feel that they have to hide things, because it's actually an illness. It's an illness that is just, it has nothing to do with your parenting. And often mental health and addiction go hand in hand. um, and I think that for parents, I would just say to reach out, don't be alone, reach out and find, there's so many amazing organizations like, Al-Anon, which is what saved me. Al-Anon is an organization of loved ones with addiction, And when I was in America, where they have particularly good meetings, not so good here in Australia, I went to meetings every day. And I don't think I could have coped without that. I just think reaching out to others that have gone before you, hearing their stories is really, really helpful. Um, and yeah, I think it's a very hard road. I wish there was an easy way to navigate that road,
Right.
but you just have to find a spiritual practice. You really do. You have to know that there's something bigger than you that can give you comfort during those times. And anyone that's suffering,
Right.
that this five sensory place that we all exist in is not the only place that there is. I really believe that.
Yeah, and he was a genius, you know.
Yes,
Absolutely.
A beautiful, I mean, drop dead gorgeous.
Yes.
Like,
I know.
um, like
Stunning.
when
I was
did
just looking, what was I just looking at as we were on the phone? I was just looking at this cover that he was on. I mean, oh my God.
Wow.
yeah,
Oh,
he
that's beautiful.
so like I saw that picture and I it was crazy because he could have played, when like they play Jesus in the TV shows and
Yes,
stuff, he's that perfect.
yes, he's that
Like
perfect.
I
Exactly.
I was like, "Oh my god." Like, and I know he had a sleeping disorder. So like
Yes.
when did you notice that? Like when
You
did you
know,
start to realize that?
it's really amazing that even in the time since he was a child, how much things have changed around getting help for young people. When I had my son, we would go to places, but it seemed like there wasn't the help that we needed, or we just didn't know what it was. But he, from a very young age, I mean, I remember him at 3, never sleeping, 3 or 4 years old, and we just thought he was a naughty kid. It's like, please go to sleep, go to sleep. I mean, you
Hmm.
have a kid that just what's wrong with you? Go to sleep. And I think we just never took it as seriously as it was, because it was a very rare, profound form of insomnia that ultimately, I just don't know if you can live with such a disease. You don't really think about it, but I think what he started to get psychotic and have psychoses from lack of sleep. And I think at a certain age, he went on the black market. I mean, he was young, trying to find things to help him, which we didn't know, just to help him sleep or to help him. Even his friends would tell me that they would go to do sleepovers and they'd all be kind of stay up, stay up. And he'd be like up all night. That's when he did a lot of his writing. So he was very prolific. He had books of poetry and diaries, which I found. But wow, it's sad, isn't it? It's really sad.
When did you realize that he was ahead of his time? That he was very extremely brilliant in
Yeah. Um, well, I knew, I always looked at him as like this shining star that was going to be I always thought of him like, you are going to be a huge star. I'm sorry, I'm emotional, but I just
No.
always, I would look at him. I was so proud of him. I mean, but he really struggled because no one was like him at school. Like no one, I mean, he would go to school and he was kind of a freak. He was super bright and he taught himself Latin and classical pieces. And I think it was hard. It's very hard to feel different. It's very hard to be in a
Right.
classroom where no one's like you and you're different and you have to somehow pretend that you can fit in, especially as a kid. That's a
I,
really hard place to be in.
Yeah.
I could
And
definitely relate to that. So
yeah, it's like true, right?
it
Mhm.
And what's that?
no, I was gonna say it just my heart goes out to you. Um it, this is everybody wants to know. I mean, you have so many fans and you know, they all love you. Um and you're a big part of their life because you make them seriously go to the next day. Like you're an icon. I don't know if,
Thank you.
um
Yeah.
but and I know Harry had an idea that we're taught to believe in all illusions. Can you just explain that to people who
Yes. Well, that was the weird thing about him. He had this kind of higher consciousness that was so extraordinary. And yet at the same time, he was completely stuck in his demons, like, so he really never believed in labels. Like I would say, "Oh, honey, you gay?" Or I said, "Mom, no, I like don't call me that. No, I'm not gay. I'm not, I'm not anything. I'm just a boy who doesn't believe that I need to dress in boy clothes and that I can wear whatever I choose to wear. And if he saw himself as non-binary. I mean, at that age, like really, who was non-binary 20 years ago? But he just was so not interested in labels, and he could see beyond the constructs of humans and how we would construct things, which made no sense to him. And he was so profoundly deep. I mean, his poetry is so beautiful, but ultimately he wanted to create like an anti-boy world. He called himself Anti-Boy, which was no labels, and a non-binary band, which was not like any other band, which we are exploring. And just in fashion, the way he dressed, fashion is art. And even his music, each song he wanted to become an episode of a sci-fi kind of musical. Like he had huge ideas, huge visions, but the sad thing is he just couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it because of his sleeping disorder, his drug addiction, his borderline personality. Like he was very ambitious, but at every turn he was knocked down. With all his huge talents, he just was also born, and that makes me sad, with the inability to carry out those visions. Yeah.
But you have been able to carry out the visions now. I wanted to ask you if you would share with us about his music and the vision that you have been bringing out to the world. Was it your idea to continue it, and also your son Sam was making his work come to life as well? So will you share
Yeah.
that with us?
Yeah, well, actually, he had a manager when
Mhm.
he passed away. He had a manager who is, oh my God, obsessed with him. Okay, obsessed, and he just would not let it go. He was like a dog
Right.
with a bone. And because Harry had just been in Miami recording demos with a huge producer named Red One, who did Lady Gaga's. I think he
Yeah.
has one of the number one songs now.
Yeah.
And he had just finished these demos with him. And so not only were we looking at his old album, but we were also sitting on these demos, which we had to kind of spend 8 months fighting to get back. And then once we got them, they were like little nothing songs. They were just little, and we brought in a very big producer to finish the songs, which we're now sitting on. And we're about to release one of them called One Love. Um, and I think it just kind of all happened. It was like this, kind of manager who wouldn't let go. And between him and we brought in someone else, and suddenly we're like doing this. We're kind of creating this kind of anti-boy legacy, not even knowing where we're going with it. We just thought, well, we'll release Glitch and we'll show this kind of extraordinary animation, and Harry's life is so extraordinary that shedding light on that and on his talent and on his music, and then his brother's so extraordinarily talented. So it was just kind of a win-win thing to kind of move into that. So now we've got the album released, and now we're looking at releasing another single called One Love. And now we're doing a short film about a trans with addiction issues. And that's our short film that we're now producing. So things are just kind of happening. I don't know when it's going to end or if it's in, but now it seems very fulfilling to us. And I think it's good for the world too.
I have to agree because, I saw a clip when he was in New York City, and it was alive. I think Alana had it. She went live on Facebook or something, and it was amazing. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
And the
That was the
talent.
Yeah.
I know. That gig was so funny. That was in New York. I literally, there was like no one in the room. I think there were like 10 people. I mean, it wasn't advertised.
And
And
Alana was there. She
Yolanda
was
was
there.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah. And he got on the stage, and I went, what? It was like, he was David Bowie. It was like,
Yeah.
he was so comfortable. He was so charismatic. And I went, oh my God, you are beyond. And it was like hardly anyone in the room, and it didn't even matter. He was strutting and he was this. And I just thought, you have a gift, and I'm so happy I got to see that performance because there
Yeah,
weren't that many of them.
I wish I
I
was there.
watched it. It's amazing. It's beautiful, and it is. You hit the nail on the head. It is very Bowie, very just
Yeah, yeah,
everything, the colors, the way he moves.
yeah,
He's in his zone. He's truly
yeah,
in his zone, and I think it's incredible the way you're transmitting his work that was in his soul. The work you're saying, he was not able to do, but yet you're so tapped in and in tune,
yeah.
you and your son Sam, that you guys have been able to really share that with the world and give his gift that he
Mm.
had inside even now. I know that they haven't been released yet. He also did a single called "Good Enough," which
Oh,
just dropped. And what are when can we see the new works?
oh,
When
yeah. So the old album is out, Witch in
Mhm.
Paradise, and there's incredible stuff on that. You won't. He does an incredible cover of Bang Bang, or the Cher song Bang
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bang, which I think it's better than her. I mean, I think it's mind-blowingly good. So you have to
love
check
it.
that out. It's on, like I said, iTunes. Good Enough was dropped, and that's an amazing song. And so that album's out. Witch in Paradise is out, and now we're about to release One Love, which Harry didn't was not involved in the production of it. So that was taken to a other producer who's finished it, and I'm singing on that. I'm singing. We had a writing session and we wrote the middle section, which I sing on, which is incredibly moving, which is about one love, and it's about me singing to everyone who struggles, that the answers are just right there. They're right there
Right.
inside you, and you're always looking somewhere else for the answers, but they're right there. And it's
So
very yeah.
I'm gonna make a suggestion because I see things too. I'm very intuitive, and I think it will hit if you could find someone to do a hologram of your son and you sing to him.
Really?
So that's just a
Wow.
vision that came to my head. I don't know if he's talking through me but I'm very intuitive when it comes to that. I'm shaking, like I got goosebumps right now.
Sh-
Um,
She gets
That,
downloads.
I know, like, it's weird. I'm just advising, you should do it. Find someone that could do a hologram. If anyone's gonna watch, like, when you watch this, people, find someone to do a hologram for her, because I think it would be, I could see it go number 1.
wow.
I feel
That,
it.
yeah, well,
I got chills, and he must,
my God, I got two. I'm going, oh
Yeah,
my
we'll
God.
have to talk later.
that's
After
brilliant.
the interview, I could tell you something. Um,
Yes, I'd like that. I'd really like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just things that I see, maybe that's why we could definitely put his music on Mupo. We can, whatever you need promoted, we're there for you, because truly, he was a genius, and he's
Yeah.
still alive. In my you have to think of it that way, and you
Yeah.
know,
I mean, it's funny, like, I don't, I'm an actress, I'm a singer, I'm this, I'm that, and I always felt like, I had a lot of talent, but, then along comes a child who you realize, is beyond you, in their vision. He was so unique, so unique. And I think that's what we all look for in our stars. We look for something that is like no one else, like Elvis might have been, or Marilyn, they have like these qualities that no one else is like them. And, he was like that. He just was, even his voice teacher said, no one sings like him. No one sings like him. That's the thing that I used to look at him and go, you are something, if only you could use that to overcome your demons. If only that would be the reason. But, you know,
you know
He
what?
was ahead of his time.
There's definitely a
yeah.
reason, and believe me, he's with you. You'll see things that you don't, like, even if you see pennies drop on the floor or something like that, that's your angels.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So he's definitely with you. Um, it's we're
I
definitely
love
gonna
that.
help you. We're definitely gonna help you. I don't know. I
Right.
feel a
We'll
vibe.
talk. I love you both. Already I'm
Thank
in love.
you.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
we're in
you.
love
We
with
love
you too.
you.
We're in love with you too. You know, it's funny.
This is incredible for especially for the LGBTQ community. Uh, what you're doing, because you're taking who you are in the world, your son, bringing it all together. You're really bringing a community of people together, not keeping people separate. You're doing what his dream was, to
Yep.
not segregate those worlds. It's everybody. I think his vision, in listening to it, is really more of just being a soul entity, being
Mm.
aware of the soul that he was, that he is in this universe. And I really agree with Michelle. I think that he's here. I don't feel that people leave. I think they transcend. And he was definitely
Yep.
ahead of his time,
Y-
but he is with you very, very, very much. I really appreciate you sharing all that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Tell us
girl.
about Sam though, because
Yeah.
poor Sam. I feel bad. Let's
We
get
love you,
about Sam.
Sam.
He's
Sam is he's actually visiting me from New York right now.
right on.
Oh,
Right on. He's wandering back and forth.
have him say hello. Is there?
Yeah.
Bring him
Come
in.
on.
Let's see his beautiful
I
face.
don't know where he is now. I think he's wandering somewhere. But yeah, he's exceptional. He is exceptional. And I never knew how exceptional he was until the last few years, because he went to commerce, and he was always the older brother who was calm and measured and gave us no pain. You know what I mean? And then there was Harry, that was a storm. So we always sort of somehow just, Sam got, not that he didn't get attention, but we just let him be. And then he kind of decided to do coding and realized that he wanted to be an artist. And he ended up at Tisch at NYU. He started in creative technology, so artificial intelligence, but using technology creatively,
Wow.
and started his own
Wow.
practice. And now he's in a studio and does just, you'll see when you watch the music video Dream, he does the CGI. So it takes the video into a whole other fantasy place, all the weird
Oh, I love
glitches,
that.
because Harry was glitched. And he's really extraordinary. He got into Yale in projection design for the theater, which they accept 3 people in the world.
Wow.
And
God bless.
he's gifted. So proud of him. And yeah, I'm just really proud of him. And I didn't realize how incredibly creative he was too, because he's beautiful, but he's not as, out there. I mean, he's a quiet creativity, which is no less brilliant, So
What is
yeah,
his sign?
he's a Cancer.
Okay, that explains it.
Harry was a Sagittarius, like his father,
Ah.
and Sam is a Cancer. And yeah, I mean, one thing I say to my husband, who's a businessman, is, wow, we really had extraordinary kids, and somehow our genetics, I don't know, it's sort of like these kids, not these normal kids,
Well, that happens. When did you meet where did you meet your husband? Was he
I was out here
searching for you because you're,
no,
absolutely gorgeous, and you're a superstar, or
my husband's younger than I am, and I was here shooting Mission Impossible, the TV series, and yeah, and I was here for 6 months shooting it. And at that time I was still married, but I had separated from my first husband, which was a disaster. And I was out here shooting, and this girl that was guest starring invited me to her birthday party at a nightclub. So I went thinking, I got dressed up in sequins. I was from LA with, 2 of the people from Mission Impossible. And it was like all sawdust on the floor, and everybody was like super casual.
oh,
And
Yeah.
someone said to me, "Oh, you got this," and he was like 29 at the time. They said, "He's so eligible." Everyone kept telling me how eligible he was. I'm going, like, what do I care? I'm like on Mission Impossible. I was like, I wasn't like thinking like that. I'm still trying to get out of my first marriage. And yeah, and I met him, and I wasn't thinking very much. And then I was like trying to get by him, and we just started kissing out of nowhere. And I said to him, "Call me. I'm at the Hotel Como." And that was it. Then he called me, and we started dating, and it was like, here I am, 30
And you're
years
still dating.
still dating in
You're still
Australia.
dating.
I'm still here.
That's wonderful. I love that. That's a little love story there
So
with Jane Badler.
go ahead, Holly. I know.
Go ahead. No, I
No,
was
I was
going to
just,
say Sam also designed a playbill cover. Uh, he's just done so much. He's incredible. He's incredible. You
yeah,
have.
he did he did an off-Broadway show
Mhm.
called Date Me. And he did all of the it was one of those interactive shows that came from Second City in Chicago. They brought it to off-Broadway, and he did all the interactive screens, and because it was an interactive experience. Yeah.
We should get him a part of Mupo.
That's you
Maybe
read
this
my
is a
mind.
sign. Maybe this is a sign. We need him. No.
No,
Sam, we're recruiting you. No, I can't wait to see all the new video releases too, and all the work. So for those of you out there watching, just you're going to get to see the beauty of Harry's work coming together, his vision through his mother Jane and his brother Sam, and it's just such an amazing triangle of love, and that
yeah,
is just yeah.
yeah.
So
So, Jane, tell me about the soap operas. I know you got a lot of V fans because that's one thing we'll talk about later. But first, let's start about Falcon Crest and the soap operas that you were on, if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, the soaps were great. Like I had just gotten out of school. I went to Northwestern. I was a drama major, and I moved to New York City. I didn't know anyone, and because my mom lived in New Hampshire, we lived in New Hampshire, and I moved to New York. And after getting a couple of commercials, the first job I got pretty easily, not easily, but pretty new out of school, was One Life to Live. And I played Melinda Kramer, who was kind of like very fragile and in and out of mental institutions. And it was like actually a perfect role for me at the time because I was so scared. I had never done television. I mean, I was a theater major. I'd never done television. I seriously was not comfortable around a camera. And I'll never forget. And that was also Judith Light was on that show. We all know who Judith Light is.
Yes.
With, and was quite intimidating. She was the star of the show, and she was one of the best criers I have ever seen. I mean, literally waterworks every day.
yep.
I could hardly get a line out. I was so scared. And I remember the first day I had like 2 lines, and literally I was pacing behind the sets back and forth all day, just hoping I wouldn't forget my 2 lines, like back and forth, back and forth, back. No one could fear. So it was the best training I could have possibly had because I think I was on there for a year, maybe more. And I guess you all know how fast soaps are. I mean, you basically shoot 1 show a day, and you have to be kind of, after a while, you get very comfortable learning 20 pages a day, 10 pages a day. Your acting chops get very,
Right.
very good, and you learn to act quickly. So I couldn't have had better training. I was really lucky to have gotten that job.
And you've also
Oh,
added.
and then I did The Doctor.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah,
What were you going to
I
say?
remember that. I was going to say you've added producer to your long list of skills, and
Yes.
how is that different from all the other hats that you've worn?
I'll if you want me to talk about, actually, I'll just mention that working with Alec Baldwin on The Doctors, which was probably a highlight for me as well. But I need to backtrack to that just because, what a big star he became and how adorable and sexy he was as a young man. He was really, so we spent a year acting together.
Right. What was he
What's
like
that?
on set? What was he like on set with you?
He was really kind of, that kind of, I mean, Val Kilmer was a bit like that, who was someone I dated, that kind of bad boy, those bad boys that are a little bit sort of, they don't really give too much out. They're kind of, they're a little mysterious, your heart's going to get broken if you fall for them. He had that aura about him, which, at that age I found so sexy. But we never had a thing. I think he liked blondes at the time. I was not his, I mean, I shouldn't say that was not his type, but maybe he didn't even know I had a crush on him. Alec, you hear me? That was a long time ago.
But every
And
Baldwin is beautiful, though. Every
Right.
Baldwin is beautiful.
yeah,
They're
he
all
was the
gorgeous.
cutest though.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have to agree with you.
Anyway, he was
And
the
and I
cutest, and he's so smart. Yeah.
and you're gonna backtrack to the Val Kilmer. You dated Val Kilmer.
I had
Wow.
an argument with Val
Wow.
Kilmer.
I had a crush on Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer, Val Kilmer was the
He-
hottest, one of the hottest
Mhm.
men,
Right? Right?
along with Alec. But he was so hot, and I dated him when he was actually at his hottest. I
Please
think
tell
he had
me,
done Top Gun.
Jim
What?
Morrison, The Doors. I'll tell.
Yep.
I know. I don't know if he'd even done that yet. I mean, I know he'd done Top Gun, and
Mhm.
I had done V. And I was at the Ivy, and I was being interviewed with my publicist, and he was across the room with his publicist. And I remember looking up and just looking at him. And there was like this moment. And then I was renting out my apartment literally like about a month later, and he came to look at my apartment to rent. And so then we went out. We only dated for like a couple of weeks because I was really crazy in those days, like really crazy, like not at all a sane individual. And I think I might have stalked him a little bit. I don't know. But all I remember is I just remember him telling me he couldn't see me because he had to study his script. And I went to the Bruce Springsteen concert, and literally he was right behind me with another girl. We're talking about 100,000 people.
Oh
And
no!
there he was.
wow.
So that was the end of our relationship right there. But still, I had a very good couple of weeks with him. Let me.
Fantastic.
Wow. So
I love these
tell me
stories.
about V, because we have a lot of V fans that are
Oh
going to
yeah.
be watching this. And you played a commander, an all-around badass, and
Yeah.
Diana. So how did you actually land that role?
Well, here I was doing soap operas. I was on The Doctors. I was also like, the arid extra dry girl. Oh, my doggy's here. I was the arid extra dry girl. And I was doing all these kind of arid extra dry commercials, and I was on The Doctor. And in those days, you used to get flown out to do first class to do these auditions, So I auditioned for like, what was it, the A Train or whatever it was called, Fantasy Island and the boat thing. There were all those kind of really
The Love
bad
Boat.
TV. The Love
Oh,
Boat,
the love boat.
the Love Boat, Fantasy Island. I was being flown out to do like all these kind of roles on these bad TV shows. And nothing kind of happened. And then I remember I was sent the script, and I was told, oh, we're going to fly you out to audition for this part. And I read it on the plane going there. And I was acting, I was doing The Doctors in the day. I was on my spare time shooting Arid Extra Dry commercials. And I was going through a lot of anxiety at the time. Like I really found it very difficult to fly. Like I had to take like Valiums and drink, in order to get through ride. So I was a little bit like I read the script and I thought, what's this part? There's like 5 little tiny scenes in this 4-hour miniseries, right? Because Diana didn't have a very big role in that first miniseries, although it seems like I did. But I thought, it's an okay role. And they'd already started shooting. I think one of the guys, she'd been murdered, Dominique Dunn's daughter. So I flew out and I met Kenny in a hotel room. I auditioned in the hotel room, and that was kind of it. And then I go back to my hotel and I get this little note under the door, "Don't leave town," which were the sweetest words I've ever heard. Don't leave town. And the next thing I know, I'm in prosthetics. The next morning, they're putting this prosthetics on me. And it was like that quick, that
Wow.
easy. And man, who would have known that those 5 scenes, like, I don't know, just the next miniseries, I was suddenly huge in the next miniseries. And it was just one of those kind of perfect storms where the right role at the right time just floated. Crazy, right?
It did. It really blew, and it really just blew up in such a great way. Amazing. I know one of the original V TV series ended in an unresolved cliffhanger. And I know your fans want to know if there had been a follow-up season, how would you have liked to see the character of Diana played out? And are there any storylines that you would have liked to have seen?
Look, I think the problem with the TV show is it became like a soap opera in outer space.
Hmm.
Like all of the deep resonances of the original, which had, political, social references. That's why people loved it.
Right.
When it went to series, it lost all of that. And it became like, sexual, and it became like this kind of, camp version. And I mean, I had a ball. Don't get me wrong. I loved it. I was strutting. I was bisexual. I was this. I was that. I mean, yeah, it was really fun for me, but it wasn't the quality that it had been
Right.
under Ken Johnson. I guess if it had continued, I would love to have seen it. I would love to have seen Kenny come back, and I would love to have seen the incredible quality of the original miniseries come back into something that had, meaning behind it. And that's what I would have wanted for it. But sadly, it never happened.
Well,
Right.
that was actually one of the questions that one of the fans had said.
Mhm.
So, like, do you obviously, if Kenny brings it back to to do the reboot, um, will you be involved in some way? You'd have to be, right?
Well, it's a very funny thing because, as you all know, I'm not sure how many years it is now. It might even be 10, maybe not that much, where I went back and did the new series. They brought the new series back. They rebooted the original V,
Right.
with Morena Baccarin, who played my role, who's now was in Gotham recently, and
Hmm.
um, she's an incredible actress. She has a wonderful career. She was in Homeland, and she was in that movie with Ryan Gosling or whatever it is, that big movie. And she played me. She played me, and I played her mother. And I was in Vancouver for 6 months shooting that. That was about 8 years ago, and that was a very unsatisfying situation because politically they were never allowed to let me kind of fly in my character. So I was kind of stuck in the dungeon, and because everyone knew the only person, at least I knew, the only person who could actually give it any kind of conflict was my character, who was the strongest.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
I'm the only one. I needed to come out and form an army, and I
Right.
needed to then there would have been some kind of tension. But because they didn't want to do that, because I was number 11 on the call sheet, which we all understand in Hollywood terms for all of you viewers, means that you don't have in power is number one on the call sheet. So number one, has to have the bigger storylines and gets the biggest salary. And, if suddenly number 11's got the biggest storyline, well, there's going to be a lot of problems with agents and blah, blah, blah. So I think they just kept me in that dungeon. And it wasn't until the last episode I finally came out, and then they killed me,
Mhm.
with her. By the way, it was a great death. I'm happy about the death. But let me tell you, I was pretty pissed off that they were killing off my character, my iconic character. So that kind of happened. And then I wonder how Kenny must feel, that I had done that TV show, and whether it, for him, maybe sullied the name of Diana, or for him, would he just ignore that and say, no, let's look at the original. And of course, I'd love to have Jane. I don't really know how he feels about that. I haven't talked to him about it. I haven't
Right.
been in touch with Kenny at all. So I sure hope he'd use me, because whatever Ken does, it'll be incredible. Absolutely incredible. And
Well,
I,
you were the whole show.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. I mean,
Like,
and
you
your
should have been number
fans,
one. That's ridiculous.
I know it's so much of that goes on, though. Let me tell you, you have no idea, how many things happen in our careers that, you look back on, and you know that things would have been different, or would have exploded, or happened if, there's like those constant forks in the road, do you know?
right.
Yeah.
Now, if V came back and you could work with any of the cast or crew from the original, who would you choose?
You know, I think it would be wonderful to work. I mean, Michael Ironside was an
Mhm.
exceptional actor, but he was, he's kind of difficult,
Mm.
I mean, he's a dark kind of, there's actors that are, take things very seriously.
Right.
And then there's actors that have a lightness about them. nothing to do with how good you are, but he was very much that kind of an actor, but that I think makes him very exciting. And I think now I would find it much more interesting to work with that sort of a person. I would love to work with Mark Singer. I think he's an exceptional actor. He's since done a lot of Shakespeare, and I just think he'd be great as a mature person. I would love to work with him. I would love to work with Faye again. We were all very young, and I don't think I connected to them in the way that I would love to reconnect with them now.
Interesting.
Oh,
Do you have any, do you remember any like bloopers that you did on set, like behind the scenes that you might want to, getting your lizard mask off or getting it on?
Yeah. I mean, I'm such a different person now. I was trust me, I was a pretty wild child in those days. Loved men. I think I tried to seduce every co-star that I had,
Excellent.
I don't know. I seriously was, Diane. What I'm saying. Now my interests lie elsewhere, thank God. But at the time, I remember I had this kind of love scene with one of those, I'm trying to remember his name. I mean, first of all, I had those scenes with Duncan Regehr. I don't know if you remember him. He played Charles, which is so funny, Diane and Charles. And in our marriage, it was so tacky. When I look back, I see those photos of us in lizard skin outfits, with, getting married. It's ridiculous.
Those are great, though. Those are such great memories and fun times.
And he was very handsome. I mean, he was a big, tall, handsome Renaissance man who I just definitely had a crush on. I had a crush on everyone in those days.
You lived, Jane. You lived. That's great.
I really did.
But not many people would admit that, though. See how real she is?
Yeah.
Everyone should be a huge fan of yours.
I love it. You embrace
you're friggin'
who you
awesome.
are. You're hot and you embraced it.
Why not admit that I was, a sexual being who loved handsome men? What's not to admit? Do you know what I mean?
It's not to love.
Love. Hello. And and I think that I had a great time. It was fun. It was so much fun. But I mean, I also, on the other side of it, I was afraid of everything. I was afraid of, rats and spiders, and they put me in I remember one scene, they put me in a pool with eels, and I was just totally freaked out, I was Diana, but on the other side of it, I was the most frightened little person you'd ever met, that I had to pick up any creepy things, which they constantly were making me do.
I saw something the other day because I was, checking some things out, and it came up that there was this lady holding a mouse. Did you eat that mouse? Did you put it in your mouth?
No, I didn't put it in my mouth.
I would have had a heart attack.
Very close to my mouth, And, I've had to dance with boa constrictors. I've had to ride elephants, and I've had to ride elephants and camels. I've had to, I've had to do a lot of things.
That is cool.
Because that was more in Mission Impossible. But, you just have to kind of overcome your fears. That's what's great about being an actor. You just have to overcome your fears.
So we have a question. One of your dear fans wanted to know, and it was regarding Sarah Douglas had been offered the TV series V after her appearance in a miniseries, and but her character was killed off by Diana. Were there plans of a return for her character? And if so, was the storyline going to go in that direction?
You brought up Sarah Douglas because honestly, she's definitely an actress I would love to work with so much. She was fantastic to work with. She's the real deal. She's a wonderful, wonderful actress.
Yeah, she's on our list to actually interview.
You should interview her. She's a very interesting person. And I think that once again, I don't think we got to do enough together. I don't think we had enough depth of scenes together. It was all that sort of posturing and, that sort of thing. I mean, I watch it now. It's funny. It's fabulous. I love it. But, we never really got to get in there and talk about motivation of characters or anything, And I just think that if anything ever happened, I'd love to work with her outside of V. I'd love to do something with her maybe one day, because she's a wonderful actress. Yeah. And I actually met up with her in London a few years back, and we had breakfast at that famous hotel, Clarence, or what's it called? The one, I don't know, it's a very famous hotel in London. And she's a very good friend of Grace Jones. So she has fantastic stories. You should definitely interview her. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. It's on. We had her schedule, but then we have to reschedule her because something came up for her. So,
Yeah.
when they get booked, they have to pause and
Of course.
whatnot.
Of course. Yeah.
I want to see that little puppy dog.
Yeah.
Belle, that's so
You
sweet.
We have a few more questions from the fans, but I'm obsessed with puppy dogs.
when she comes back in, you'll die. I'm honestly, you'll take all the attention away from me because she's the cutest little thing that ever lived.
Is it like you always have to have like the most perfect family? Everyone's gorgeous and everything. So that's a
your
good thing.
dog and my dog?
Yeah, even the dog.
Even the dog. Even the dog.
So Holly, you have more questions from the
Yeah,
fans. You wanna
we
go?
do. We have some fan questions. What they played, the fans have played a huge part. First of all, I wanted to say in elevating the character of Diana to a cult status. What is it like interacting with your fans close up and personal at the conventions, the Comic Cons? Do you have any memorable fan encounters?
Well, it's actually like, this is a story that actually is very, there's two stories I think of. One is that I went to Argentina a few years ago for a convention called MonsterCon.
Oh,
And
I've been there.
it turned out that it was a sham, the entire thing. So I flew there with my sister, and once we got there, the entire, and this is where I want my fans, because they took it quite seriously, but it was run so haphazardly that when they'd come to pick me up, they were 2 hours late to pick me up. And when I got there was no schedule. And there were hundreds of people looking at me, and there was no schedule. And I remember like how it all was to me, because I had no control over this, and I couldn't say to my fans, I've come all this way and this is being run so badly, and I don't know how to say to you how unhappy this is making me. So one day I went for a walk, and I went into this kind of marketplace, and all of a sudden someone recognized me in this marketplace. This is like a few years ago, and everyone started to recognize me, like literally. And I started to get like I was a huge superstar. People started to
You are.
But you are.
But this was in Argentina, and I couldn't speak English, and all these people were talking. I could see it. Like it was like Chinese whispers through this market. And I'm going, oh my God. And I was freaking out because that hadn't happened to me in a long time. So I kind of went like this, and I quickly kind of got myself out of there, because it was quite frightening to me that I was in this foreign country with this terrible thing going on with MonsterCon, which he never paid me. He never, and I got the bill for my hotel. This day,
wow.
I wish there was a way to warn others, but that's why I'm talking about
So
it now.
I'm going to tell you. So I used to book people for Comic Cons, AppleCon, and Wizard World and all, and MonsterCon, and so it's all about the promoter. So I had all girls, like WWE divas, like Tori Wilson, like people like that, playmates that were coming to me. They were like, make sure you do the bookings, you make sure I get paid. And because there was one girl, her name was Alicia Webb, Brian Shamrock, she went by in the WWE or whatever, TNA or whatever. And this guy, what they do is, these promoters are kind of sleazy, and they try to make you, like, they put you in these crappy hotels. They don't, they'll pick you up with these like 5 people in the car. Well, not when it's my people. Because you know what I used to do? I used to sign a contract, at half the money up front, half the money upon arrival. This is a lesson, people. If you have someone you're representing, you want to make sure that they're in a 4 or 5-star hotel. You're going to make sure that there's bodyguards there. And that's why I had the biggest, like, it was crazy. And all these like promoters would come to me and they'd be like, Mupo, Michele, I want Tori Wilson, or I want, Dawn Marie, or I want Alicia Webb, or I want Joy Giovanni. And they were like, because these divas, they assume that they're going to get all this, get in their bikinis and go do lingerie stuff, because on stage they do. Like they'll wrestle, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And they put
Right.
them in these awkward positions. It pisses me off. But you let me know the promoter that did that to you, because I'm gonna take care of
I
that.
will. I'm gonna send it to you. I'll send it to you. We tried to get him into, it just was too hard. But I'll send that to you. And I don't have it written down now, but my sister would know. She's great. She'll know. She
Yeah.
came with me. Oh my God.
Next time you do that, you
What a
let me
trip.
know. I'll tell you,
I
we'll get
think
you a writer.
Yeah.
I think I heard about this because this was,
Yes.
yeah,
It was
this
really
is
bad.
all over the press.
And the airline he flew
Yeah.
me on was actually a dangerous airline. Like it was
My
business
goodness.
class, but it was like economy. I mean, it was the worst airline I'd ever been on. And I said to my sister, I said, we can't fly this coming back. We just can't. So I had to book us tickets on another airline. Like the whole thing, I was out of pocket.
And
like
you had to
10,000
pay for it, right?
everything, like $10,000 I
Yeah,
was
see,
out of.
that's uncalled for. That's uncalled
The
for.
whole thing was just a nightmare. But what I felt worst for when you talk about fans was the fans, because they all paid money. And Argentina, they're going through a very hard time economically,
Right.
especially
Yeah.
when people are struggling. And for them to pay for a ticket is very costly. And
Yeah.
there they were, and nobody was getting what they wanted out of it. And nobody was blaming me, but that was the part that really upset me with the whole situation. Anyway, that was that. And I think the other thing that I remember that was so moving was when I was asked to go to Madrid for the reboot, the new series.
Mhm.
And they invited me to Madrid. And we're talking about 20 years later, 25 years
Right.
after the original one. And in America, I'm not as popular. It's these kind of strange these European countries where they only had 2 stations when V was airing. So I went to Madrid and she said, "Oh, we're going to premiere the first episode of the new series in a big screen." And I went, "Okay." I wasn't thinking very much about it. And they did my makeup and hair. Oh my God, to this day, I will never forget. I arrived. Oh my God, there were like 10,000 people and they were clamoring for me. It was like, "We love you. We love you." And I was just like crying because this was like 25 years later and all these people and the love. It was like, it was pretty mind blowing. And I thought, I will never forget this night as long as I live. And I met the original girl who did the dubbing in the original series. And it was pretty remarkable. That's something I will never forget. So I love my fans so much. I love them, love them. And if it wasn't for them, V never would have lived on. My character never would have lived on.
You know what's so special about you? Like, there's another question. Like, they want to know about the media. Like, for instance, if you're gonna, I've tweeted you out and you respond, and you didn't
Yeah.
even know who I was. And then but I see you do that with everyone. You take the time to
Yeah.
actually answer everybody. And I'm like, oh my God, this lady's so sincere. And
Yeah.
like, you do not realize, like, you get people that don't do their social media. You do your social media,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I do to good or bad, I do my social, but I'm not on social media that much. Like I might post a couple times a week, or I might do Insta stories, every day an Insta story. But some people, oh my God, these people, they're big celebs, and their social media is like a machine that needs feeding all the time. So it's a full-time job for them to do their social media.
It
But for
is.
me, yeah, I'm not that engaged. I like to keep a slight distance from my social media, and I feed it once in a while. But it's not my life. I'm not always on social media. Do you know?
Yeah,
Right.
because you got stuff you have to do.
Yeah.
But
You know?
you do give a lot, and I've seen you, and you're very responsive, and I know your fans love that. They love you
She's
so
beautiful
much.
inside out.
Yeah, real
No.
deal. I have another question from one of them, which is just a bit of fun. Um, Mark Singer, Michael Ironside, Jeff Yeager. In true Diana style, if you could eat, marry, or convert, who would get which?
You're talking about those three?
hmm
Right.
Which one would you eat, marry, or convert?
Okay. Eat, marry,
Mhm.
or convert. And that,
Yeah.
and we're talking about Mark Singer, Michael Ironside. Who's the third one?
And Jeff
Oh, Jeff.
Yeager. Who would
Uh,
get which in true Diana style?
that's really tough. I probably convert Michael Ironside.
Mm.
And I would probably, I don't know, maybe eat Jeff Yeager, and definitely,
Oh
yeah,
my.
I'd marry Mark Singer. He's a good boy.
There you go. There you go. I hope who asked this question. I hope you're listening. This is a fun one. So let's moving on. We have they wanted to know about let's talk about your music and what genre of music are you best at, and who has had the most influence on you as an artist?
I grew up in the era of, you know, um, you know, Barbara Streisand and Shirley Bassey. I mean, these were the singers that were influencing me. These big voices,
I love
divas.
you. I love
Right.
you.
It's like I wouldn't say anything cool. It's like these are
Barbara
the
Streisand could sing though.
Oh
could
yeah.
sing, and Shirley Bassey could sing, and you know, I just think like that was the kind of women that I wanted to sing like and be like. So I think that's where I modeled myself after for a while. And when I was 18 and was in the Miss America pageant, I sang, and I went to Berkeley and I learned how to use a microphone, and I sang in clubs, and I had a band called the Versatiles, and it was a really daggy band. And I sang all those songs like the Carpenters and Jeremiah. Jeremiah was a bullfrog,
Dun, dun,
all that
dun.
sort of stuff.
Fun.
And so we kind of like did that for years. And then I went to Northwestern and sang on the weekends with my boyfriend pianist. And I don't think I had an original sound or did original music. I was just singing, I was having fun. And then I sang at the Playboy Club. When I was 21, I went
Wow.
to New York and I sang in the Playboy Club and put together all these kind of sexy songs. Like, what was that song, that Captain and Tennille song? I never wanted to touch a man the way that I want to touch you. I don't know if you know that song, but it
I
was
could
really,
so see you being a siren at a piano, just
well,
standing there like
exactly.
my Funny Valentine, kind of
Yeah,
very sultry
exactly.
siren piano songstress. Yeah.
God. So that was kind of it. And then I think years went by and I never sang again. I was sort of acting. And then I came to Australia and decided I wanted to sing again. And that started a whole other thing. Like, it just goes to show when you decide you want to do something. And that was a segment of my life where I released 3 albums. The third one I co-wrote, and that was called an opus. And that was all about heartache and betrayal, a bit like my son who passed away. We both love those dark themes. In London and in France, and I performed in New York. And then I got tired of it. I thought, okay, I've done this now. And I kind of did it, and that was great for a while. But now I think now I'm producing, as you brought up the fact that I'm producing
Right.
movies now. And I produced a film with Brooke Shields and Ian Rion from Game of Thrones. And that was an incredible experience. That was called Daisy Winters. And the director sadly killed herself
Oh no.
about 3 months after we finished the film.
Oh my.
Not only was she the director, she had written the film, and she was our main cheerleader. And she was the reason why I got involved and had, invested money in this film. And when she passed, who do you think had to finish the film? Me. I had to finish the film, never having even produced a film before. I'm suddenly finishing a film. So that was a pretty mind-blowing experience for me. I had to bring in, music editors, and I had to bring in all sorts of people to finish this film. And I'm very proud of the film, but we were really going uphill trying to sell the film. And it was just one of those nightmare experiences. You would have thought that I never would produce a film again after that.
Talk
But
about honing your producing skills. You really got your feet wet.
I really did.
Definitely. definitely.
That was
So
pretty crazy.
at this point, you must have seen actually everything, or almost everything. What was the most important lesson that you could tell your fans what you've learned
In
about the
life, I
industry,
mean, or
in
just
life and the industry? Because I think the industry is a little different.
look, I think as an artist, you have to constantly reinvent yourself and never be afraid to grow as an like I am a curious artist. Like I never stop growing. And I am constantly looking to better myself. I think that's very important because, as far as acting goes, I had a particular acting style. And then I realized that as I got older, that I had to kind of transform the way I used to act into a way of acting that is much more real and much more affecting. Because when we watch television now, we look at actors, they're like phenomenal what actors are doing now. And so I ended up studying with Ivana Chubbuck. The last 5 months I studied with her on Zoom, and I had to start connecting to my work in a way that was much more profound. And I think that's the thing. I want to keep growing. I want to keep growing, and I think artists have to do that. You can never stop working. You have to keep working at your craft. You have to keep getting, but you have to be the best that you can be if you want to work in this industry. I think it's you can't be average. You can't just be good. You have to be great.
Absolutely. Amen. I love
Yeah.
that. Are there any other positions in the arts that you haven't done yet that you would be interested in doing?
I have no desire to direct. But what I'm doing right now, which is very interesting, is I am producing a film right now. I'm one of the producers on a new film that is called Trim Season. It's a horror film. And we're looking to shoot it in Montenegro in the next 6 months. And I have the lead. And it's an extraordinary role for me, extraordinary. Probably going to be one of my best roles since V. And I'm now working with the director on writing the script. We have the script, but we're trying to bring the script to a place that is good, really good. Because what I see now is that a script has to be great. You can't. A lot of people shoot things and the scripts aren't ready.
Right.
That's doing now, and I've never done this before. I'm actually working very hard with the writer on the script. And that's kind of a new thing for me to be doing that, to be making a script into something great. So hopefully I'm frightened. I can have self-doubt, but I'm doing it. So we'll see how it all turns
Good
out.
for you.
That's what it's all about. No matter what, just keep doing it. Keep doing it. Don't stop. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. I've kind of told a lot of things to you that a lot of people don't know about me, that I have so many things happening in my life, and I may not be on television right now, but I've got a lot of exciting creative projects going on. Do you know?
I was sitting here thinking you're doing a lot. You're
Yeah.
doing a lot, especially during, so much change that's gone on in the world lately, which leads to asking during this whole pandemic has obviously changed the trajectory of things, and you pivoted. You pivoted. What is the biggest shift that you feel that you made during this time?
First of all, I am aware of a huge collective grief. I feel I feel very connected to the world.
Mhm.
And, I think the thing that I see is when one is grieving, if you make it all about you and your grief, you can get very lost in it.
Mhm.
But I lost Harry, and then COVID. Literally weeks later, COVID
Right.
exploded into America. So although I've had my profound grief, there are hundreds of thousands of Americans and people all over the world grieving someone they love right now. So it's not just about me, it's about a world that, we all have to find a way to come together, and make this a better world. I mean, I feel like something is happening. Why is this happening to our world? I mean, yes, we can say, well, pandemics are going to happen. Why? Because of climate change, because we're eating a lot of meat, because our forests are being cut down, because viruses are getting out into the environment. I think we all have to start to question our existences and why this is happening, and now the variant's happening. So, I feel a lot of anger from people right now. I feel a lot of negativity. If you look on Facebook, if you look on social media, and you try to give people the message of unity and love, which is what I do. When I talked about Joe Biden and how his message is of unity and love, he's a compassionate man. Whatever you think, he's had great loss, and he has great compassion. And you try to put that message out on Facebook, and oh my God, what you get back. You get back so much vitriol, much hate, and so much negativity. And it makes me very sad. I'm very, very sad, divisiveness and the anger that I see, that people are not using these lessons to feel love more,
Right.
Yeah, I'm the founder of the Keep the Peace Project. And, I started out when I wrote a song about, it's kind of like a We Are the World on steroids, but it's called Keep the Peace. And I wanted to bring all these celebrities on there. And then the whole goal of the, Keep the Peace is I want to buy buildings and put all the homeless veterans in it, make it handicap accessible, give them a place because they serve for us so that we could be free. And I started to do, this was like 10 years ago, I started to actually do a thing called the 30-day challenge. Now, what everyone should do is a 30-day challenge where we do a good deed every day for the next 30 days. And
Oh,
we hold ourselves accountable. And on the 31st day, even opening a door for someone or saying hello, you could be saving somebody's life. And people don't understand that. I set goals every day. Holly sets goals every day. And, we're very fortunate to be in a world that we're in. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And people don't realize that. And I'm going to tell you, this just came to my head, so something must be happening. Your son's sleeping. Just know that. I'm yeah, Holly, you might have to take over.
She gets downloads. And I know that a lot of people might downloads. Yeah. And I know that you can relate to it. Some people may be like, what?
No, I
little
can.
little
I'm
woo woo,
pretty
but
yeah.
I really believe that there is so much more than just this level of the planet that we're on. It's there's different dimensions, and I'm not going to go on, and a lot of people are going to be like,
Well,
enough.
let's
But
start the 30-day challenge. Let's do it
yeah,
here.
let's
We'll
start
start it
that.
Sunday. You want to? You want it, Jane? We'll tweet it
Yes,
out.
totally.
Let's get everyone
Absolutely.
on a
Well,
rage
so
of peace.
tell everybody what they're going to do, Michele.
So
30-day challenge starting this Sunday
we're
when we air Jane's episode. So
we're going to get
Okay.
everyone to do a good deed every day. Now, it might
Mhm.
be, bringing somebody's groceries in or just helping them. Say, I know with COVID and everything, people can't touch one another, but even if it's just kindness, let's just
Mm,
do that for 31, do it for 30 days. And on the 31st day, it'll come natural. I
mm,
promise you.
mm.
calling someone up, brightening their day, sharing something with them that would lift them, a cup of tea, anything. Sending somebody. We used to do this thing in a group I was in. We do happy mail. You just send somebody a card for no reason. You could even do it anonymously. Paying for the person's cup of coffee in back of you. Anything. So we're going to tweet it out. It's going to be a tweet from myself, from Michele, from Jane, and we're going to do this for 30 days in a row starting this Sunday. So would love for you guys to join in, and all of Jane's fans to join in. And God, it's just so enjoy talking to you.
Isn't that
Uh-oh.
funny?
Bella wants a contract before she comes on air.
What's that?
She
Bella
wants
wants. I mean,
contract before she comes on air.
I'm looking for her. If I find her,
So
you
now
can
all
say,
your fans are going to see your house and how you live. They're probably freaking out right now.
what's that?
I said everyone's seeing how beautiful your house is. And
How do you well, obviously you love living in
wait,
Australia.
she's
What is
frozen. She's frozen.
She's not here, Belle.
There we
There you
go.
go.
That's really strange. My dog is nowhere. Oh, there she is. Do you want to meet her?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Belle.
Look,
There you
everybody.
go.
Oh, hello,
Oh,
Belle.
hi,
Hello,
Belle.
Belle.
We're like,
Is it
we have a
Belle or
high pitched voice.
Bella? Belle
Belle.
or Bella? Belle?
Belle.
Oh,
Oh,
see, I would kiss that
Belle.
dog
Belle.
right on the mouth.
Hello, Belle.
That's beautiful.
Isn't she a cutie?
Oh, hold her up.
I found her. Oh, Belle, she's running away from me. It's like,
That
it's
was
like
Belle.
she couldn't have gone to the furthest part of the house. Don't know why, just avoiding me for whatever reasons right now.
She's doing a cameo. That was Belle's cameo.
She's like, anyway, that was funny. So here I am in another room of the house.
Awesome. Thank you for
Awesome.
sharing. It has been such a pleasure to have you. We have to have you back. We're so
Yeah.
happy we're going to be doing this 30-day challenge with you on giving and gratitude. So before we go, I want to do a fun thing where I'm just going to ask you 3 fill in the blank statements. I start the sentence, you finish. Anything that
Okay.
comes to your mind. So the secret to keeping fresh in the entertainment business is
Um, I think constantly reinventing yourself and never giving up.
Good answer.
my mantra that I live by.
You are a powerful source
Love it.
and can overcome no matter what life deals to you.
If I could change one thing in the world in only one way, it would be
I would make everyone on this planet motivated by love.
Wow.
love it. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, please look for Jane in her upcoming films. Uh, The Lies We Tell Ourselves, The Surrogate, and Jessica Frost, and Listen for Good Enough, as well as other upcoming tracks from Harry Haynes' album, A Glitch in Paradise. And you can also follow Jane on, let me make sure I have these, Twitter at Jane Badler, Badler, of course, on Facebook under Jane Badler, and on Instagram at Jane Badler World. And take a look on YouTube at the music videos, and you can also go to her website at janebadler.com. And Jane, some last words for your fans because I know they want to hear from you.
Oh, just so grateful for all the love. I only get love. I mean, honestly, I get so much love from my fans,
Aw.
and Belle says hello too, and
I love Belle.
hopefully I'll get to travel, and see everyone. I've been asked to do some conventions in America, but I just don't see myself getting there in the next 6 months. But hopefully I will, and I'll get to meet everybody.
Awesome. Well,
Right on.
they'll for now they'll get to see you on here too. This has been a very, very special interview and visit. We love having you. This isn't the last time. And thank you so much again. You're a beautiful light, and thank you for everything that you are doing and in the love and the heart that you have for your son. And thank you, Sam, as well, for your contributions and keeping that beautiful triangle of a mother and 2 sons alive. A beautiful actress, an icon, a hero to many. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Jane Badler. As always, thank you for tuning in to Mupo and Friends, courtesy of Mupo TV. You can watch our show at www.mupoentertainment.com. Again, that is www.mupoentertainment.com, where we like to talk to real people about real things, not just artists, but actually artists that are moving the needle in the world with great causes and big hearts. Thank you again. Until next time, this is Holly Lombardi with the beautiful Jane Badler and our CEO and mastermind, of Mupo Entertainment, Michele Mupo. And until next time, we are over and out.